Hello, and welcome to another episode of Moving Picture Massacre, your favorite movie review show where we talk about movies we've never heard of until about yesterday, and that we have all found on VHS. So we're all pretty excited to talk about this week's movie. Matt and Ricky and I, Tom, welcome you to our show if this is your first time. Today we're going to talk about a movie from 1989 called Dr. Caligari. This beautiful looking cover here with this huge new arrival sticker that I have. I found this online. I knew nothing about it besides that it was somehow related to the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It is I would say, a very loosely based sequel. It's quite strange, and we're going to go right into it and try and explain what the hell we just watched. I'm not sure if we can, but we will try. And to do that, I'm just going to start by reading the back of this right here. I'm also going to read what websites or IMDb explains what the plot is a little bit. It's going to help us a little bit more than what the back of this tape actually tells you. So to start off, meet the surrealist psychiatrist with the camp couch, Dr. Caligari. She's totally twisted and continuing the mind-bending experiments on her grandfather, the original Dr. Caligari. She treats her patients like human lab rats as the swamps. Sorry, I'm really bad at reading. Start over. She treats her patients. I'm going to start that whole fucking thing over because that's awful. All right. Meet the surrealist psychiatrist with the camp couch, Dr. Caligari. She's totally twisted and continuing the mind-bending experiments of her grandfather, the original Dr. Caligari. She treats her patients like human lab rats as she swaps their psychosis with cross-cranial cannulations. There's a lot of interesting words in here. Witness the sexual fantasies of a lovely, lust-crazed electromaniac. I don't even know what that word is, to be honest with you. You'll be shocked by her high-voltage therapy for a juiced-up cannibal. Sigmund Freud is turning somersaults in his grave over the doctor's demented diagnosis. Fall victim to the captivating Dr. Caligari. She's got a straitjacket with your name on it. Yeah, this was a movie. Again, I'm going to go real quick on the plot of the movie because, again, I don't feel like that is a plot of any sort. It just kind of grabs a couple things here and there. Your main character, Miss Van Houten, right?
Houten.
Yeah. It's Mr. and Mrs. Van Houten are the main, I would say, your main characters outside of Dr. Caligari herself. But Miss Van Houten shows signs of losing touch with reality, and her husband discusses possible treatment with Dr. Caligari, who says Miss Van Houten has a disease of the libido. The staff want Dr. Caligari removed from this facility due to her controversial experiments with electroshock and hypothalamus injections. As Dr. Caligari continues experimenting with her patients, her daughter and son-in-law attempt to stop her. That tells you a bit more about what actually happens in the movie, if you can put all those things together. Some of them are still hard to put together, but we're going to talk about it because it's what we just watched. Ricky, tell us how you felt watching this movie.
I feel like I'm going to be in the minority here on this one, but this was an absolute trashterpiece. That's a new word. I'm going to put a patent on that. But no, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I will watch this movie multiple times, just because it's one of those movies that as you watch it more and more, you're going to start noticing more and more things. And throughout the movie, there were a lot of parallels with like some true crime figures. For example, you mentioned the cannibal that was going through the electroshock therapy. That's pretty much a copy and paste of Albert Fish, as far as getting spanked with the needled paddles. putting needles and pins into his pelvis, the cannibalism of preteens. That is Albert Fish copy and pasted. Um, a lot of Dr. Caligari's experimental things are ripped straight out of Joseph Mengele from the Auschwitz camp. He was doing a lot of that to the kids, to the Jewish kids. Um, and another one that I just put together as you were kind of reading that IMDb plot, the last name Van Houten. It's one of the Manson girls. So that's another true crime parallel. But yeah, I loved it. It was the weirdest movie I've ever seen in my life. I didn't look it up, but I am willing to put an entire paycheck that Shapiro Glickenhaus distributed this movie. Look on your tape. Did Shapiro Glickenhaus distribute this tape?
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. I didn't even have to look that up. I could tell just by how weird it is. I mean, Shapiro Glickenhaus, if you're not familiar with that production company, they distribute like the Basket Case movies, the Maniac Cop, uh, just all those obscure 80s horror movies that I adore. I love all of it. It's all trash, but it's going back to my newly coined word. They are trashter pieces. I love them. They're fantastic. Matt, how did you feel about it?
Oh, as it stands right now, this could be a first. I'm on the opposite end of where you stand. I did not like this movie. And maybe I just need to watch it again. But I went from being confused to uncomfortable to more uncomfortable and then to almost like I didn't know what I was watching, so I kind of just lost interest in it. Um, I it, it's weird though, like how they filmed the movie and everything. It almost looks like they just filmed a play, if that makes sense. The way the backdrops are set and everything, it's very play style. And what I mean is it's a cheap background. And in some points, I don't even know if they even moved some of the stuff out of the background, where they just turn the lights out and add a lot of black back there, and you got like an upward or a downward light coming down, and you can block out a lot. The movie was filmed in that way, and I don't know. It's just everything about this movie confused me or really disturbed me in a way that I was just I kind of lost interest like about halfway through the movie. I did find the cannibal guy to be kind of funny though when he says, "And I hit her over the head with a glass bottle of ketchup," and that part made me laugh. So he was entertaining, but other than that, like I don't know, maybe it's just that I just wasn't interested today in watching that movie, or it could be just one of those movies that I'll watch it again and just decide like I never want to see this movie again because it was something. I was watching it at work, and Tom's like, "Yeah, watch. Be careful where you're watching it at work." And immediately I was like, "Oh crap!" And I had to turn it off because it just ramps up I don't even know. It's just craziness, the whole movie. And there are scenes that are more crazy than others, but there's a few right at the beginning where I was like, oh, wow, I'm pretty uncomfortable watching this. Tom, what you think?
You know, there are a lot of those scenes, like you say, that can make you pretty uncomfortable depending on where you are and just what you're doing. I would say, yeah, I was kind of shocked at how quickly, it was the first 3 or 4 minutes when a girl is naked instantly, and then they're looking at sores on a leg and spewing pus out of the leg, and then there's like a guy with a baby mask and a poop in a bathtub and slits a lady's throat, and then he's banging another lady. There was a lot. There was a lot. You didn't get your first bit of dialogue at all until almost 10 minutes into the film, just under 10 minutes. At first I thought maybe we were getting an actual silent sequel, just like the first movie. I was like, well, they're playing into this shit. Okay. But got about 10 minutes in, and then we got a scream and then some words. The lady on the TV was I couldn't understand a lot of what she was saying. I wish I had some subtitles to understand what the hell she was telling the Miss Fraulein or whatever her name was, Miss Van Housen, because I had no idea what she was saying the whole time. But it was interesting that there was just so much. I liked the married couple that were related to Dr. Caligari in one way or another, where there was her daughter or his daughter. It says her daughter, but I didn't really get that, because I guess it makes sense because her dad was like eating her out later, eating out Dr. Caligari. Not the kid. Sorry, that was weird. I should have said that incorrectly. And so I guess that makes more sense. But I liked how the daughter and the son-in-law acted together. They did the weirdest pop and lock like talking, and they were always smoking cigarettes. And I was always trying to figure out like if there was ever a reason behind any of it, and there wasn't at all. They just did that. It felt very much like it felt like I was watching a weird stepsister of Forbidden Zone. It was like a freaking Richard Elfman movie, realistically. There were parts that I got semi bored with, I would say. They didn't last for very long because there's enough weird shit to go around, that's for sure. But there are a lot of things that I found amusing. Again, it's definitely, as Ricky said, it's trash, and it's 100% like sleazy trash, to where you have to be careful with who you watch it with. It takes a special kind of person to enjoy watching a lady whose arm is deformed and kind of looks like a huge dildo, and she just like rams it up her husband's ass at one point in time. Yeah, you gotta be in the right space, as Matt said. He probably wasn't there today, and not everyone will be there ever. So it's a special kind of movie. Ricky, let's talk a little bit more about specific things that you enjoyed, because I know you got them.
Oh yeah, I love the choices of like just the bright colors playing off of that black backdrop. I mean, they use big vibrant yellows and blues and pinks, and it just had that 80s Miami Vice kind of like, it just popped off of that black so well. And at the beginning of the movie, when it shows Dr. Caligari's little sign for her asylum, that looked like they pulled that straight out of Rocco's Modern Life. The font, the everything, the style of it, the color, everything. But no, I really loved the setting of it. It looked really good. I would love to see this with a little better quality, because I watched the one that is free on YouTube, and it's not the best quality picture-wise nor audio-wise. The audio is very garbled. You couldn't hear a lot of the dialogue, as you were saying with the lady that was on the TV monitor. But I would love to see it with a little bit higher quality. Even VHS quality would be infinitely better than what they have on YouTube. But yeah, it was one of those movies that normally I take notes throughout the movie. This movie, I took 0 notes because I was zoned in, like, what are they going to do next? This is insane. It's crazy. How can they go above this? And they're probably the weirdest scene for me, which there are plenty, but the one that stood out the most was the nympho lady, Van Houten. That wall of like sewn together flesh with the tongues coming out, and they do utilize the flicking tongue a lot in this movie. That is probably the most utilized thing in this film, is a flickering tongue. But a tongue pops out of this weird flesh wall, and she starts licking on it, and then she starts sucking on it, and it changes shape. I was like, are they really going to make that a dick? They didn't, but it looked like it was kind of like insinuated, like, yes, it's a dick, but it doesn't look like a dick. I'm sure they had to do that for standards and practices and all that. Like, you can't make it look like a penis, but it was penis. Come on, we know. But yeah, I loved it. It's trash. It's horrible, but I was entertained. I was locked into the movie the entire time. Like, I didn't pick up my phone. I didn't do anything. Most of the time with these movies, they're trash, not enjoyable trash. This one was enjoyable trash, where I didn't pick up my phone, I wasn't writing notes, I wasn't doing anything. I loved it. It was great. I'm gonna watch it again, pick up on some things I missed, and I'm gonna have a good time with it. Matt, what are some things you really hated about it? Because I know there's not gonna be much that you liked.
Oh my gosh. The acting was just like I said, it was like a play. It was like an overacted play, where they had one camera and one take to film it, and they accomplished it. Everything is like Tom said, it's really quick head turns, a lot of moving in it. Um, and that bothered me. The scene that you just described, I watched with like the blankest face ever, where I was just like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah, I was not prepared for this movie at all, and that's like one of the last like things where I was like fully focused in. I feel like, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh," because yeah, it does look like a dick. And yeah, that's what it's supposed to be in my mind anyways. And I was like, that's really happening right now. And then it turned into the giant mouth and the tongue. There was that part too where it like spewed stuff out of it, and I thought it was a vagina. I was like, that's a nasty vagina. And then it turned out it was a mouth, and it was just, I mean, I was completely disgusted by that. um and I I don't even, yeah, I there's not a whole lot I can say about this movie. There's a I think that, most movies have been transferred to DVD or Blu-ray or 4K, at least that we know of, and there's a reason this one wasn't. And
Yes, it was.
was it?
It's
Ex-
on DVD, yeah.
Excalibur
Really?
put it out on DVD in 2002, and that was like an anomaly back then because Excalibur Films at the time was a pornographic film company, but this was the only non-pornographic film that they put out because the founder was one of the producers on the film.
Mm-hmm.
They're straddling a thin line there too by saying that.
Yeah,
Like
there's no
very,
penetration, so I guess you can't call it pornographic.
yeah. It's a gray area like my shirt right now. They're just working right in between both porn and not porn. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I don't know if I could work up the courage to watch it again. I was not expecting what I seen, and was, I don't know, just real uncomfortable for most of the movie. The one thing I said earlier I did like though is the cannibal guy, the dialogue and the way he presented it. He was the shining star for me in this movie, and that was like the only positive thing I could take away from it. Tom, what you can go likes or dislikes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, just bouncing off with the cannibal character that you're talking about. It was a lot of fun how he was going. He was telling a story while he's strapped into an electric chair, electroshock therapy chair, and popping in and out of his actual story. It was neat. You could at one moment he was sitting in the chair telling you, and you could see what was happening over here, and then the actual character that was doing the deed then chimed in and broke the fourth wall and said things to you. So there's a few times I feel like multiple characters throughout the movie broke the fourth wall just to look at the camera even or to say a line or two. And again, I feel like that lended to the feeling of a play, like you're talking about, Matt. It definitely had that kind of aspect to it for a lot of things. I feel that I know they just filmed this in like two locations out in Los Angeles, and they were just probably sound stages because there's no actual exteriors of any sort. And I feel that it could have tried, like I feel like they might have tried to replicate things from the very first movie because of the really weird set design and the weird shapes of things and stuff like that. In the original Dr. Caligari, a lot of the buildings are real like kind of sideways and almost Dolly-esque looking and strange. And so I think they had to kind of keep that aesthetic with going with some of these, but taking those like 80s bright ass colors like Ricky mentioned to bring it up, and it was fun. It was I've grown up watching a lot of plays and going to a lot of plays and stuff like that, and so this kind of thing was interesting to me to see that being portrayed as a film. and it brought a lot of things back and thinking about things and that kind of stuff. They had some interesting characters. When I say interesting, I mean like interesting looking mostly. Like the scarecrow guy looked pretty cool, and when Miss Van Houten was trying to like blow him because of her crazy libido, and she sticks her hand in his pants and pulls it out and just like burns her hand all up because he's got like a fire crotch of some sort. Then her hand becomes that weird like melted looking penis thing that she violates her husband with. So it was a strange little situation there. But I started this movie because I kind of ran out of time and I meant to watch it yesterday and I got sidetracked. I watched it on my way home, or started to watch it on my way home. So I'm sitting in stop and go traffic, and this girl is laying on her back with no top on, and this tongue thing is just like flapping up in the air in front of her while she's pleasuring herself. And I'm holding my phone is like on the dashboard on a little phone mount, and I just keep looking over. Well, see, Ricky needs a phone mount.
Yeah.
I just kept looking over at the cars next to me, and I'm like, who is watching what I'm watching right now? Because that's not good. I'm going to get very weird looks at this situation.
My phone won't cooperate today.
But yeah, so it was an interesting movie, to say the least. Whether or not you liked it or didn't like it, it is interesting for the fact that it's just weird. There's so many different things that you could take in so many different ways. A ton of sexual things, and if that's not your jam, then it could be very uncomfortable for you. I don't understand really the ankle little pus situation. I was hoping that would come back to something, the girl was watching something on TV. Someone had a little wound on their ankle with some pus in it. And then all of a sudden she looked down, it was on her ankle. And then it was on a guy's ankle that tried to kill her. And lots of things. So there's a lot of things that I think that were like kind of served up to us and never really made it to fruition. But there's probably the reason behind that, which is that they didn't mean to ever give you an explanation. They wanted to be artsy. A lot of I feel Miss Van Houten's dialogue seemed like a play, to where it seemed very like poetry. She'd talk about something that doesn't even relate to what's going on. It was just a spout of emotion of this and that, and then it just ended. And then she started on something totally different. And so it always seemed like she was like doing weird poetry as her explanation, and unending torment is how we started this movie, and how we got all the way through it is how Matt feels, I'm sure. So with that said, Ricky, let's go ahead and rate this movie. And I'm gonna, no, Matt, I'm gonna let you go first. We're gonna start at the bottom and circle around.
I won't ever rate anything a 0 or a 4, just because I always want to leave room for something that could possibly be worse, or better.
You did rate Orca a 4.
Did I?
You did.
Oh, well, congratulations to Orca. That might be a perfect movie. It was very good. So I won't give this a 0. I'll stick with, I'm gonna give it a 0.5, just because the majority of the movie I had no idea what was going on. I was uncomfortable. I was scared, and I still don't know what I watched. So I mean, as of right now, and probably forever, because I don't think I'll ever watch this movie to redeem it again. 0.5. Ricky.
I think we should save mine for last, because we're going to have 3 different answers here. And you said from bottom to top, and based on how I feel about this movie, I think I should go last.
Yeah, okay.
That's fair. There is part of me that wants to put this on in front of other friends that I have. There's also part of me that is going to think that they may think I'm trying to make them watch porn. And, I'm not. I'm a young male. I've done that at one point in time with a group of other dudes for some stupid reason. We've all been there. But there's something about this movie that makes me want to like have 6 or 7 people over and have drinks for a while and then be like, you want to see something? And just pop that shit into the VCR. Just take this thing and be like, you haven't seen anything yet, because here we go. You know, and I think it's got enough slow spots in the movie to where people can just like not pay attention, and you know, it's okay. They don't feel like they're missing out on anything. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, why? Oh, what is happening? And it brings everybody back and has a good time. Saying that, I'm bringing this the next time we all hang out. But
Chicago, yeah. we'll watch that. We'll get a bottle of Malort and we'll have the worst night of our lives.
Ricky doesn't want to show everyone the stuff he likes. So
no, not the Malort.
Oh. Yeah, we don't need to drink more Malort. Going with that, I would give this movie. I would give this movie 3 stars. Actually,
Dang.
it takes a special type of person. I'll say that over and over again. It is a weird situation. It is a movie that's not for everybody. There's tons to like about it, in my opinion, and it's hard to pinpoint them without literally showing you in person. I can tell you, like, oh, the way this actor was, and you know, the kookiness about this and why they did that, but it doesn't make any sense to you without you actually looking at it. And I will suggest that everyone do that if at all possible. Again, it is free on YouTube to watch, so you know, try that out. But I will give it a 3. And Ricky, what's your final answer there, sir?
Well, out of all of the movies that we have watched during season 1, season 2, all throughout this little podcast that we do, this is the only one that I will go back and watch multiple times. It's not a good movie. Throwing that out there right now. It's garbage, pure garbage. But I tend to be attracted to the weird, the obscure, the over the top. That's what intrigues me. That's what keeps me focused on the movie. So based on how much I enjoyed the strange, the weird, the over the top, the uncomfortable, I said it at the end of last episode. It may have been after we stopped recording, but I did a little foreshadowing and I am sticking with it 100%. This is a 4.5 for me because it's something that I'll be sitting around the house. I feel like watching a movie, and this is something that I will put on and watch and just be like, what is going on? You have no idea what's going on during the movie, but it's weird. It's gross. I mean, all 3 of us are huge advocates for trauma, which is weird, which is gross, which is over the top. This outdoes trauma. It's weirder. It's grosser. It's more over the top. It makes less sense, but I enjoy it. And that's all that matters. Movies, either you love them or you hate them. Matt hated this one. I loved it. This is for me. This is my kind of movie. So I'm sticking with 4.5. This will most likely be the highest rated movie I will ever give, because I don't see, especially out of my remaining 3 choices, oh God, they're going to be bad. But we're all going to give them bad ratings.
That's pretty amazing. This is the highest rated movie by someone in the this is episode 8, and we've done 16 before this. No one has given a movie a 4.5 stars. 4 was the top we did, and that was with Orca and possibly The Dentist with 1 or 2 of us. But yeah. Outland, yes. There you go. That was a high one too. 4.5, bud. That is some strong words for some garbage filth.
It works, and it's my rating.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Go do yourself a favor. Watch Dr. Caligari on YouTube for free. Go ahead and watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, the silent film from the 20s. If you have not watched it before. Way before. Thank you. My time frame is very, very bad.
No, I was saying way better movie.
Oh, way better movie. Yeah, that's probably true as well. For different reasons. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to spin our lovely little wheel to see which movie we have left. We only have 5 movies left. 3 of them are Ricky's choices, and 2 of them are Matt's. We have watched all of my movies this season, and they've all been something. I'll give them that much. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. There it goes. Matt's movie,
Yes.
Day of the Terrafids. This is I think 50s or 60s movie, right?
Yeah, it's an older movie. The only reason I picked this is because I haven't seen it, and Kirk Hammett said it's what got him into like horror and sci-fi.
Very interesting.
So it was like an immediate buy for me. I was like, I gotta have this. So I'm looking forward to finally seeing what put Kirk Hammett on the path that he's on now with his like horror monster collecting. I mean, it must be something special. So
I wouldn't go that far. He probably watched it when he was like 7, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. With saying that, thank you guys so much for being here for another episode of Moving Picture Massacre. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out whenever we watch these movies. It's here and there, and that's okay because we've all got lives and we all need some time to watch some movies. So thank you guys again. Like and subscribe to the video and the channel if you can. We appreciate you very, very much, and we will see you next time.